Alright, so it's been a long time, but this is overdue. Actually, a lot has happened in the last several months since I've made like a vlog style update thing. A lot of good, a lot of fun, a lot of sad, some bad, some just like depressing states have happened. But ultimately, I'm fine. Things I come to terms with that I'm not happy about at the moment, but that's just how things go. With Thanks Paul, I want to cover things that I learned and like what I took away from that experience, and then also at the end here talk a little bit about what's next. Setup wise, I just have my Canon S110 on a tripod, like one of the legs drawn out, and I just rest it on my hip, and then I have this connected to my shirt here. Alright, that's enough time in the bathroom. First, the biggest thing that I learned through the experience of making Thanks Paul during production was that story, and this is something that I've been thinking heavily about for several months now, and it's part of the reason why I haven't dove into like a bigger project since Thanks Paul has been finished, is I've been trying to learn more about stories and storytelling in general. Two big things. The first is I need to focus on just like one thing on my next project, because there are people out there like Steven Soderbergh, for example, who can write, direct, DP, and edit, but like I could do that with stuff like this. That's no problem. You just saw my fucking setup. But for a film, it was too much for me to DP and direct at the same time. And I think the story and I mean, I can't speak for Dan and Justin, the guys who played Paul and Jack, but maybe my job as a director, and maybe this is true for production design and makeup and things like that, like my attention was on the image and making it look good versus focusing on just the story and performance. So in order to aid that in the future, I really want to just kind of let a DP on. My reasoning at school was because the only dude that I would have trusted with the image had his own thesis project going on. And that dude's Braden Barton. He's out in LA doing cool stuff right now. But and I did ask a girl who's really fucking good named Haley Dillon. Hey Haley. But she was also busy doing things as well. So that's thing number one. Is the next go around I really just want to focus on story and performance, and just address things from the director chair only, like writer director. But I know that I'm going to be a very visual director, so there are going to be things that I don't want to stray away from, but any issues or overall like discussion or thought about the image during production, I really want to leave that to a cinematographer. Big thing number two was that it's been a common thing. People reach out to me and say, hey, congrats, it looked beautiful. I didn't understand it. Confused people. There's just too much going on in 14 minutes. And I mean, it's not a full 14 minutes because, it's like plus credits or whatever, but you get what I'm saying here. But the next go around, like I just really want to do a more simple story. I really like the way Thanks Paul turned out personally, and there are people out there that they get it. They just think that it could have been done in fewer steps than what I took to get there. There's just far too much dialogue, and that's, I think, one of the main reasons why it hasn't been accepted into very many film festivals. It's been accepted into 1 out of 15 so far. There are 6 left on the docket. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what they are, but it'd be great if I could get into at least 2 more. I'd be really happy with that, but in all likelihood I might just not get in. I don't know, because it's not up to me. But there are 3 things that, from what I listened to the audiobook. Well, it's an actual book, but I listened to the audiobook version of How Not to Make a Short Film, and then I went to the Chicago International Film Festival back in October, and Dan and I went together and we talked to this guy named Sam, who's a short film programmer there, and we asked what he looks for and like things that he said he doesn't want to see in a short film. Like, I met all of that criteria, and that was a lot of dialogue, too many locations, and length, I guess, is really a crucial thing. But at the same time, I get confused because like all the fucking Oscar nominated shorts, not saying that Thanks Paul's Oscar or that I could even make one in my lifetime, short films that, you know, the nominated films are over 10 minutes. So I don't get that. Because someone gave him a chance. I don't know. The third thing that I took away with Thanks Paul is like, Thanks Paul's the first film that I've made that I've had like direct control over, like putting it into festivals and doing like a festival run and all that type of shit. And I don't know that I mean, I get the whole thing about festival runs is like a good way to meet people if you get in and stuff like that. I really love the idea of film festivals and like competing. It's really fun, competing with people, you know, like man sharpens man type of thing. I love that fucking concept. But it doesn't really work if your film's not good enough to get into a festival. So I don't think I did it right. Just because like I'm still waiting to hear back, and I started applying to film festivals in October, or maybe earlier than October. And I'm still, and it's fucking February 22nd. I don't know. I think like, and this is something that What's-Her-Face that wrote How Not to Make a Short Film said, was like, you need to have a defined plan of what you want to do with your short film from pre-production. You know, like you need to know in pre-production where you want to submit your film, which is it's a pretty good segue into talking about what's next. I've listened to this interview a couple of times. I find it hugely inspiring. It's Mark Duplass, and he talks at South by Southwest, I think in 2010 or 2011. I'll put like a link in the description, but I just love his philosophy of filmmaking. Like my design of how I want to do my short film career, however long that lasts, I don't fucking know. But right now, like I have this itch I can't scratch, and that's that I don't have a decent, I mean, in my mind, like I don't have like a successful short film. Yes, you know, like I did a festival run with Thanks Paul, and it looks good, and people enjoy it, and that's why I made it. I didn't make it to like tickle the critics or whatever, or even try to, if they even watch this thing, you know, like critics is very broad. But I made it for entertainment, you know, like I didn't make it to like break into the industry, might be better. But I didn't make it to do that. I made it to start my career, you know, like say like, hey, this is the type of stuff I like. Granted, the next film is that I'm working on is called Grumble, and it's about a girl whose diarrhea interrupts a sexual encounter. Thus, like, you know, she goes to the pharmacy to take care of her diarrhea, and she meets this old woman who is recently widowed, and she tries to help her out, but in turn the woman ends up helping Alexis out, which is, I guess, the required, they say it's required, irony of the story. But I made Thanks Paul to entertain, and Grumble is like it's my dive into like just opening up and being like, hey, I'm a weirdo that's pretty gross, and I enjoy people. I like people, I like humanity, I like who we are. You know, we're very imperfect, and we have disease and all this type of stuff, and it's really interesting, and yet like a lot of people want to be alone, but then people require to be around other people. What I would love to do, just have a concept, and, you know, like let's say I have a pen, and then like I had to base a story around like a pen, and, you know, like I have a pen and 2 actors. Okay, what kind of story can I tell with a pen and 2 actors? Right now, I don't really know, but it's just an example. So like being able to do something like Power Down, which is something that premiered the same night as Thanks Paul did at Lawrenceville High School, that Dan and I made. And Dan and I had a great time at the Chicago International Film Festival. And on the train ride back from our last night, we made this minute-long short film called Power Down. just on a whim, like, what do we have right here, right now? We're on a train, it's a cool location, there's people sleeping, no one's gonna care. Dan's phone was dying, we just like did something, you know? Like, I want to do that multiple times a year, and then like have one or two bigger projects like Thanks Paul or like Grumble that's like an actual scripted out film. That way I just like have a bunch of stuff going on at once that I could submit to festivals if I want to, and if all else fails, it's practice. So it's like you never really stop learning, but you do get better at the craft, and that's kind of what I know that I need to get better, and I can only do that if I practice. And right now I haven't been able to practice. I haven't taken that next step forward because I've been focused on like, oh, I need to write a script. If you have, like the pen and a couple actors, why not make something, like take what you know, take your existing knowledge of filmmaking and whatever things that you can rustle up, fucking make something. Who cares if it's bad? I'm not in this to just be okay. I'm aspiring to be great. And that's takes a lot of fucking hard work, and I mean, I don't know what I'm in for, but I know what I want and I'm going after it. Hopefully this is helpful to someone. I don't know that it is. Maybe I'm just talking to myself, which for right now at 12:18, I am. It's not edited, and I can only find out what this shit is going to add up to if I just keep going, which is all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. I want to make movies, and I want to work on movies and commercials and get better. That's what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm not getting paid, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And there's no reason why anyone else couldn't either. One last thing that I want to add that's super important is I want to say thank you to all of those who helped with the film, who donated their time because we didn't have any money. It was like between me and Sean, it's a $200 film, whatever. But like a lot of people dedicated a lot of time, effort, and their well-being to work on this thing, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate those who took the time to watch the film, and I appreciate those who watched the film and provided feedback. Because like all of that is just, like I mentioned earlier, man sharpening man. Just we're taking steps forward together, and it's exciting and it's fun, and I love this. I love filmmaking, and I love you. Anyone that had any amount of time invested in this film whatsoever, I appreciate it. I really do, and I want to work together. Let's do some shit. I'm ready. You're probably ready.